The medical bay of the Galactic Station Harmony's Rest had never been so chaotic. Red lights flashed everywhere, and alarms screamed warnings that made even the calmest doctors panic. In the center of all this noise lay Kim Dae-ho, a human engineer, from Earth, looking completely confused about why everyone was running around. Dr. Velthari rushed toward the medical bed, her 6 arms moving quickly to check different machines. As the chief medical officer for this sector, she had treated thousands of different alien species. But this was her first time working with a human, and nothing made sense. "Patient is in critical condition," the medical computer announced in its cold voice. "Heart rate dangerously low, blood pressure at fatal levels. Recommend immediate emergency procedures." Dae-ho lifted his head and looked around. "Excuse me, doctor, is there a problem? I feel fine. Actually, I feel great. Can I go back to work now?" Velthari's 4 eyes went wide. Her species, the Kentaurians, had hearts that beat over 300 times per minute. When she looked at the readings showing Dae-ho's heart beating only 72 times per minute, she was sure he was dying. "You cannot feel fine," she said, her voice shaking. "Your heart is barely working. How are you even conscious?" Dae-ho sat up on the medical bed, which made all the alarms get louder. "My heart feels normal to me. That's how fast human hearts beat. We're not like you guys." Dr. Zeph, a tall blue alien from the Aquatic Federation, swam closer in his mobility tank. His own heart beat 400 times per minute when he was calm. Impossible. No living creature can survive with such slow circulation. The blood cannot move fast enough to keep the brain alive. "But I am alive," Dae-ho said with a smile. "Look, I can think, I can talk, I can move around. Everything works fine." Velthari checked her medical databases quickly. She had information about over 2,000 different species, but humans had just joined the Galactic Federation last month. The medical information about them was still very limited. "Computer, run full body scan on the human," she ordered. The scanning beams moved over Dae-ho's body. More alarms started going off. The computer's voice became even more urgent. "Warning. Patient shows signs of severe internal damage. Dense calcium structures detected throughout the body. Possible bone disease. Recommend immediate surgery." Dae-ho laughed. "Those aren't diseases, those are my bones. All humans have them." "Bones?" Dr. Zeph moved closer to look at the scans. "You have hard structures inside your soft body? How do you move? How do you bend?" "The bones are connected with joints," Dae-ho explained, moving his arm to show them. "See? The bones give us structure and the joints let us move. It's actually pretty good design." Velthari felt sick. In her species, hard internal structures meant a terrible disease that killed most patients. "This is not possible. Hard structures inside the body always mean death." "Not for humans," Dae-ho said. "We need our bones. Without them, we would just be like jelly." The medical staff looked at each other in horror. Dr. Rith, a small green alien, spoke up. "Computer, check the human's blood composition." New alarms started ringing. "Warning. Patient's blood contains dangerous levels of iron. Poisoning detected. Recommend immediate blood replacement." "The iron is supposed to be there," Dae-ho said, starting to get tired of explaining. "It helps carry oxygen in our blood. Red blood cells have iron in them. That's why our blood is red." "Red blood?" Dr. Velthari stepped back. "Your blood is the color of rust? Of death?" "Well, yes. What color is your blood?" "Green," said Dr. Rith. "Blue," said Dr. Zeph. "Purple." said Velthari. Deho nodded. Different species, different blood. Makes sense to me. The computer continued its announcements. Patient shows signs of severe dehydration. Body composition is 65% water. This level of fluid loss should result in immediate death. I'm not dehydrated, Deho protested. Humans are supposed to be mostly water. That's normal for us. Dr. Zeph's tank bubbled with excitement. You are made mostly of water? But water is so dangerous. It dissolves things. It changes temperature too easily. How do you control your body temperature? We sweat when we're hot, and we shiver when we're cold, Deho explained. Our bodies are pretty good at staying the right temperature. You leak water when hot. Velthari was writing notes as fast as she could. And you shake when cold? These sound like symptoms of serious illness. No, they're features. They help us survive in different environments. More alarms went off. Warning! Patient's brain activity shows dangerous electrical patterns. Seizure activity detected. Deho sighed. I'm just thinking, human brains use electricity to work. That's how we think and remember things. The medical staff was quiet for a moment. Finally, Dr. Rith spoke. Your brain uses electricity? Yes. Doesn't yours? We use chemical reactions, Dr. Rith said slowly. Electrical activity in the brain means damage or death for most species. Well, it means life for humans, Deho said. Look, I know I'm different from you, but I'm healthy. This is just how humans work. Dr. Velthari looked at all her readings again. Everything the computer said should kill this human, but he was sitting there looking perfectly fine. More than fine. He looked strong and healthy. Computer, compare human readings to Earth databases, she ordered. Accessing Earth medical databases. Comparing readings. All patient vital signs are within normal human parameters. Patient appears to be in excellent health. The medical staff looked at each other in amazement. Dr. Zeph bubbled thoughtfully. So humans really do have hearts that beat 70 times per minute? Some beat faster, some slower, Deho said. Athletes might have slower heart rates. People who are sick might have faster ones. But yeah, around 70 is pretty normal. And the bones, the iron blood, the electrical brain activity, all normal? Asked Dr. Rith. All normal, Deho confirmed. We're just built differently than you are. Velthari turned off the alarms manually. The medical bay became quiet for the first time since Deho had arrived. I need to update our medical databases. Immediately. We almost treated you for conditions that would have killed you. Yeah, please don't try to fix things that aren't broken, Deho said with a grin. Can I go back to work now? My shift starts in an hour and I don't want to be late. Work? Dr. Zeph asked. After such trauma? What trauma? I just had a medical checkup. I feel fine. Velthari made a note to call an emergency meeting with all medical staff. If one human could cause this much confusion, she needed to learn everything possible about human physiology before the next one arrived. You may go, she said finally, but please, if you feel any different than normal, come back immediately. Deho hopped off the medical bed. Sure thing, Doc. Thanks for the checkup. As he walked out of the medical bay, the three doctors watched him go. Dr. Rith shook his head slowly. What kind of planet makes creatures like that? A very dangerous one, Velthari said quietly. A very dangerous one indeed. The grand dining hall of the crystalline hegemony sparkled like the inside of a giant diamond. Every surface was made of living crystal that changed colors with the mood of its inhabitants. Tonight, the crystals glowed soft blue and green, showing the peaceful intentions of the diplomatic gathering. Park Ji-woo smoothed down her formal dress and checked her translator one more time. As Earth's newest diplomatic representative, this was her first major assignment. The crystalline hegemony was one of the most powerful groups in this sector of the galaxy, and making a good impression was very important. Ambassador Shardthes, a tall being made entirely of clear crystal, approached her table. Light moved through his body in beautiful patterns as he spoke. "Welcome, human Ji-woo. We are honored to have your species join our gathering." "Thank you, Ambassador," Ji-woo replied with a bow. "I'm excited to learn about your culture and share information about humanity." The dinner began with traditional crystalline ceremonies. Different colored lights danced through the walls and ceiling while soft harmonic sounds filled the air. Ji-woo watched in wonder as her dining companions changed colors to match their emotions. It was like sitting at a table full of living rainbows. When the servers brought the food, Ji-woo was impressed by the variety. There were crystalline fruits that looked like precious gems, and vegetables that seemed to be made of colored glass. Everything was beautiful, but she wasn't sure how much of it she could actually eat. "Please try the local delicacies," said Ambassador Shardthes. "We have prepared foods from many worlds to welcome all our guests." Ji-woo smiled and picked up some items that looked safe for human consumption. The server placed a clear crystal glass next to her plate. It looked empty, but Ji-woo could see it was filled with a clear liquid. "What is this drink?" she asked, politely. "That is pure water," the server replied. "We were told humans need this substance." Ji-woo felt relieved. After being nervous about what she could eat, having plain water was perfect. "Thank you so much. This is exactly what I need." She picked up the glass and took a large drink. The water tasted clean and fresh, exactly what she had been hoping for. Around the table, she noticed that the crystal beings had suddenly stopped, moving. Their colors changed from peaceful blues and greens to sharp reds and yellows. Ambassador Shardthes made a sound like breaking glass. "Human Ji-woo, stop! What are you doing?" Ji-woo paused with the glass halfway to her lips for a second. "Drink." "I'm sorry, is there a problem? You just consumed a powerful acid." Shardthes stood up quickly, his crystal body flashing bright red. "You must stop immediately. We need medical assistance." "Acid?" Ji-woo looked at the glass in confusion. "This is just water, H2O. It's not acid." "Water is acid to us," another crystal being explained, his voice cracking with fear. "It dissolves our molecular structure. Why did you drink it?" Ji-woo set down her glass carefully. "Because humans need water to live. We're made mostly of water. We have to drink it every day, or we die." The entire dining hall had gone silent. Every crystal being was staring at her with what she assumed was horror, though it was hard to tell emotions on faces made of crystal. "You are made of acid?" Ambassador Shardthes asked slowly. "Well, not acid to us, just water. But I guess if water hurts you, then yes. We're made of something that you would consider dangerous." A smaller crystal being near the end of the table made a high-pitched sound. "She's a living weapon, made of universal solvent." No, Ji-woo said quickly, trying to calm everyone down. "I'm not dangerous. Water only hurts you because you're made of crystal. It doesn't hurt most other species." "Most other species?" Shardthes repeated. "Right, silicon-based life forms like you have problems with water. But carbon-based life forms like humans need it to survive." The ambassador's color changed to a confused purple. "You need acid to survive?" "We need water," Jiwoo corrected. But I understand why you call it acid. From your perspective, I guess. It is. The server who had brought the water was now a bright orange color, which Jiwoo was learning meant extreme distress. I almost killed the human ambassador by giving her poison. You didn't poison me, Jiwoo assured him. You gave me exactly what I needed. Thank you. But you said you need it every day? Another guest asked. Several times a day, actually. Humans need to drink about 8 glasses of water every day to stay healthy. The dining hall erupted in shocked sounds. Crystal beings all around the room started flashing red and yellow. Some of them started backing away from the table. Ambassador Shardthis raised his hand for quiet. Human Jiwoo, are there other substances your species consumes that might be concerning to us? Jiwoo thought about it. Well, we drink something called coffee, which is really hot and bitter, and tea. And some humans drink alcohol, which is basically poison that makes us feel relaxed. Poison? Shardthis's voice went very high. Not deadly poison, Jiwoo explained quickly. Just, it affects our thinking and makes us feel different. Some humans drink it for fun. You drink burning acid and poison for fun. Jiwoo realized this conversation was not going well. Maybe I should explain this differently. What do you eat and drink? We absorb mineral nutrients from crystal formations, Shardthis explained. And we drink liquid methane for energy. Liquid methane. Jiwoo tried not to show her shock. That would kill humans instantly. It's extremely poisonous to us. So your food is poison to us and our food is poison to you? Exactly, Jiwoo said. That's why different species need different things to survive. The ambassador thought about this for a long moment. But you said humans are made mostly of this water acid? About 60% water, yes. And you must consume more of this acid every day? Yes. And you also consume burning liquids and mild poisons? Jiwoo sighed. When you put it that way, it sounds really bad. But this is normal for humans. We evolved on a planet where these things are safe for us. What kind of planet? Asked a guest. Earth. It's a planet with lots of water, where water falls from the sky as rain and covers most of the surface in oceans. The room went completely silent. Finally, Ambassador Shardthis spoke. Your planet rains acid? It rains water, which I guess is acid to you. And you live on a world covered in universal solvent? We live on a world covered in water, yes. Another long silence. Then one of the younger crystal beings asked, Are humans the most dangerous species in the galaxy? I don't think so, Jiwoo said honestly. We're just adapted to our environment like you're adapted to yours. Ambassador Shardthis slowly sat back down. His color was still a worried yellow, but not the bright red of terror. I think we need to learn much more about human physiology before we continue these diplomatic talks. That's probably a good idea, Jiwoo agreed. And I need to learn more about yours. I had no idea water was dangerous to crystal-based life forms. Perhaps, said the ambassador carefully, we should arrange separate dining facilities for our species. That might be wise, Jiwoo said, at least until we understand each other better. As the evening ended, Jiwoo couldn't help but smile. She had successfully completed her first diplomatic mission, even if it hadn't gone quite as planned. The crystalline hegemony now knew that humans were different, but they also knew humans were willing to learn and adapt. She just hoped the next diplomatic dinner would go more smoothly. The Galactic Athletic Research Center was the most advanced sports science facility in known space. Scientists from hundreds of worlds came here to study the physical capabilities of different species and understand how evolution shaped their bodies for survival. Today, Dr. Quexandrian, the center's lead researcher, was starting a new project. For the first time, they would include a human subject in their comprehensive physical evaluation study. The goal was to measure and compare the athletic abilities of various galactic species. Choi Min-ji stood in the preparation area, stretching her muscles and checking her equipment. As a professional athlete from Earth, she was excited to represent humanity in this study. She had trained for marathons and ultramarathons, so she felt confident about whatever tests they had planned. Human. Minji, Dr. Quexandrian approached her. He was a tall, thin being with 4 arms and skin that sparkled like metal. "Are you ready to begin the evaluation?" "Absolutely," Minji replied with a smile. "What's the first test?" "We will start with basic cardiovascular endurance," the doctor explained. "You will run on a track while we monitor your vital signs. When you become too tired to continue, you simply stop." Minji nodded. "Sounds straightforward enough?" The testing facility had a large circular track with different sections, designed for various species. Some areas had thicker atmosphere for beings who needed more oxygen, while others had lower gravity for species from smaller planets. Other test subjects were already warming up around the track. Minji saw a Rigelian warrior whose muscles looked like they were carved from stone. Next to him, a Centaurian speedster was doing practice sprints that were so fast she could barely see him move. There was also a cyborg athlete whose mechanical legs gleamed under the bright lights. "Don't worry about the competition," Dr. Quexandrian said, noticing Minji looking at the other athletes. "This is not a race. We simply want to measure each species endurance limit." "I understand," Minji said. "When do we start?" The doctor led her to a monitoring station where technicians attached various sensors to her body. The equipment would track her heart rate, breathing, body temperature, and energy consumption throughout the test. "Begin when ready," Dr. Quexandrian announced to all the test subjects. Minji started running at a comfortable pace. This felt like any other training day to her. Just a nice, steady run to see how long she could keep going. Around the track, she could see the other athletes running at their own speeds. The Rigelian warrior was incredibly strong and fast, but after only 10 minutes, he was breathing heavily. His species had evolved for short bursts of intense activity, not long-distance endurance. The Centaurian speedster was amazing to watch. He could run faster than Minji could sprint, but his energy burned out quickly. After 15 minutes, he had to slow down significantly. The cyborg athlete had perfect mechanical efficiency, but his biological components needed rest. After 20 minutes, he was struggling to continue. Minji kept running at the same steady pace. She felt good, warmed up and ready for a long run. This was exactly the kind of pace she used for training runs back on Earth. "Interesting," Dr. Quexandrian said, watching his instruments. "The human's vital signs are completely stable. No signs of fatigue yet." After 30 minutes, most of the other test subjects had stopped or slowed to a walking pace. Only Minji was still running steadily. The doctors began paying closer attention to her readings. "Her heart rate has barely increased," one technician noted. "And look at her breathing, still completely controlled." "Is the equipment working properly?" Dr. Quexandrian asked. "Check all sensors." After an hour, Minji was still running. She had settled into what felt like a nice, easy pace. The other test subjects were now sitting in the rest area, watching her with growing amazement. "Doctor," the Rigelian warrior said, "is the human in distress? Should we stop the test?" Dr. Quexandrian checked his readings again. All her vital signs show she's perfectly healthy. If anything, she seems to be getting more efficient as time goes on. It was true. Minji had found her rhythm now. Her stride was smooth and relaxed. Her breathing was deep and steady, and she felt like she could run like this for hours. This was what she loved about distance running, that feeling when everything clicked into place. After 2 hours, the research team was in full discussion mode. They had never seen anything like this before. Her body temperature is perfectly controlled. One scientist noted, "Look, she's releasing water through her skin to cool herself." Water through the skin? Dr. Quexandrian was fascinated. "She's using evaporative cooling? That's incredibly efficient." "Is that unusual?" Minji called out as she passed the observation area. She had noticed the excited discussions but wasn't sure what was causing them. "Very unusual," Dr. Quexandrian replied. "Most species overheat quickly during extended exercise. How are you maintaining such stable body temperature?" "Am I sweating?" Minji explained as she continued running. "It keeps me cool." "You can run and talk at the same time?" the Centaurian speedster asked in amazement. "Sure," Minji said. "This isn't that intense for me yet." After 3 hours, the research team was frantically taking notes and checking their databases. Nothing in their records showed any species capable of this level of sustained activity. "Perhaps we should stop the test," suggested one of the technicians. "The human might be damaging herself and not realize it." "All readings show perfect health," Dr. Quexandrian replied. "If anything, her efficiency has improved over time." Minji was indeed feeling great. 3 hours was a normal training run for her. She had done ultra-marathons that lasted 12 hours or more. This was actually quite relaxing compared to her usual workouts. "How long can you continue?" Dr. Quexandrian asked during one of her passes. "Oh, several more hours at least," Minji replied cheerfully. "This is a pretty comfortable pace for me." The alien scientists looked at each other in shock. Several more hours? The longest any other species had ever lasted in their tests was 90 minutes. After 4 hours, Dr. Quexandrian decided to ask the question that was bothering him. "Human Minji, is this typical endurance for your species?" "I'm probably above average," Minji admitted, "but not by much. Lots of humans run marathons which take about 4 hours. Some people run ultra-marathons that last all day." "All day?" The cyborg athlete's mechanical voice cracked with disbelief. "Some races go for 24 hours or even longer," Minji said. "There are people who run for days at a time." "Days?" Dr. Quexandrian stopped writing. "Continuous running for multiple days? Well, they sleep sometimes," Minji clarified. "But yes, some ultramarathon events last for days." The research team was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Dr. Quexandrian spoke. "We need to stop this test." "Am I doing something wrong?" Minji asked, slowing down for the first time. "No, you're doing everything right. That's the problem. Our testing facility isn't designed for endurance capabilities like yours. We need to completely redesign our protocols." Minji stopped running and walked over to the observation area. After 4 hours of steady running, she was slightly tired but felt like she could have continued for hours more. "How do you feel?" Dr. Quexandrian asked, scanning her with medical equipment. "Good," Minji said honestly. "A little tired, but good." That was a nice workout. A nice workout, the doctor repeated slowly. You just ran continuously for 4 hours and call it a nice workout. It wasn't that intense, Minji said. I was probably only running at about 60% of my maximum effort. 60%? The Rigelian warrior stood up. You mean you could have run faster? Oh yes, much faster. But then I wouldn't have been able to run as long. Dr. Quexandrian looked at his notes, then at Minji, then back at his notes. We need to completely revise our understanding of mammalian endurance capabilities. Why? Minji asked. Is 4 hours really that unusual? The previous record for sustained cardiovascular activity was held by a cybernetically enhanced athlete who managed 97 minutes, Dr. Quexandrian explained. You just ran for 4 times that long while maintaining perfect vital signs. Humans are persistence hunters, Minji explained. We evolved to chase prey over long distances until they got too tired to run anymore. Our ancestors could literally run animals to death. The research team looked at her in stunned silence. Finally, the cyborg athlete spoke. Your species hunted by running prey to exhaustion. For thousands of years, yes. We're not the fastest or strongest, but we can outlast almost anything. Dr. Quexandrian made a final note in his report. Recommend immediate revision of all endurance testing protocols. Human capabilities exceed current galactic standards by unprecedented margins. Also recommend studying human evolution. Any species that evolved persistence hunting must come from an extremely challenging environment. The cargo ship Stellar Wind had been traveling through space for 6 weeks when disaster struck. What started as a normal supply run to the outer colonies turned into a nightmare when the food storage systems failed. The emergency rations that were supposed to last for months had been contaminated with a deadly toxin. Captain Rilthek, a spider-like being from the Arachnid Coalition, gathered his crew in the main briefing room. The ship's medical officer, Dr. Quilthera, had finished her analysis of the contaminated food supplies. The situation is very serious, Dr. Quilthera announced to the mixed crew of 12 different species. The food contains Zarian-7, a biological toxin that is deadly to most known life forms. Nam Ho-seok, the ship's human engineer, looked up from his tablet. How deadly are we talking about? For most species, exposure to even small amounts causes organ failure within hours, the doctor explained. We have emergency medical supplies, but not enough to treat everyone if we consume the contaminated food. What about emergency rations? Asked Lieutenant Vextar, a blue-skinned humanoid from the Aquatic Federation. Those are also contaminated, Captain Rilthek said grimly. The toxin spread through the entire food storage system before we detected it. The crew looked at each other with growing worry. They were still 3 weeks away from the nearest station, and they had no clean food left. We could try to filter the toxin out, suggested Engineer Korth, a mechanical being whose species didn't need to eat. But it would take time we don't have. Dr. Quilthera shook her head. The toxin has bonded with the food at a molecular level. Filtering won't work. So what are our options? Ho-seok asked. We can try to stretch our emergency medical supplies, the doctor said. If we eat very small amounts of contaminated food and immediately treat the poisoning, some of us might survive until we reach help. Some of us? Lieutenant Vexitar's skin turned a pale blue with fear. The medical supplies will only treat maybe 4 or 5 cases of toxin poisoning, Dr. Quilthera admitted. The rest... She didn't finish the sentence. The briefing room fell silent. Finally, Captain Rilthek spoke. "We need to decide who gets the medical treatment and who takes the risk." "Wait," Hosiak said suddenly. "Before we start making those decisions, can I see the analysis of this toxin?" Dr. Quilthara handed him her tablet. Hosiok read through the chemical composition and biological effects. As he read, his expression grew more puzzled. "This is interesting," he said. "Doctor, are you sure this toxin is deadly to humans?" "Deadly. To all known species," Dr. Quilthara confirmed. "Why?" "Because the chemical structure looks familiar. I think humans might process this differently than other species." "What do you mean?" Captain Rilthek asked. Hosiak stood up and walked to the display screen. "May I?" The doctor nodded, and Hosiak connected his tablet to show the toxin's molecular structure. "Look at this," he said, pointing to specific parts of the molecule. "This is basically a complex alkaloid compound. Humans have been dealing with alkaloids for thousands of years." "Alkaloids?" Dr. Quilthara moved closer to study the display. "Plant-based toxins," Hosiak explained. "Things like caffeine, nicotine, capsaicin, the chemical that makes peppers hot. Human livers are really good at breaking down these kinds of compounds." "You're saying humans can process this toxin?" Lieutenant Vextar asked. "I'm saying humans might be able to process it," Hosiak corrected. "Our livers have evolved to handle a lot of different toxins because plants on Earth use them for defense." Dr. Quilthara was running calculations on her tablet. "Even if human livers are more efficient, this is still an extremely dangerous compound." "How dangerous?" Hosiak asked. "For most species, 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight is fatal." Hosiak thought about this. "What would that translate to for human toxin tolerance?" "I don't have specific data for humans," the doctor admitted. "But based on your body chemistry, maybe 5 milligrams per kilogram before serious effects?" "That's still potentially deadly," Captain Rilthek pointed out. "Yes, but it gives us more options," Hosiak said. "How much toxin is in the food?" Dr. Quilthara checked her readings. "Approximately 2 milligrams per standard serving." "And how much do I weigh?" "About 70 kilograms, so I could theoretically handle several contaminated meals before reaching." "Dangerous levels." The crew stared at him. "You want to test this theory?" asked Engineer Korth. "I want to eat some of the contaminated food and see what happens," Hosiak said calmly. "Absolutely not," Dr. Quilthara said immediately. "Too dangerous." "Doctor, what's the alternative? We draw lots to see who gets to live?" Captain Rilthek's 8 eyes focused on Hosiak. "You're volunteering to risk your life for the crew?" "I'm volunteering to test whether humans can handle this toxin," Hosiak corrected. "If I'm right, we have enough food to last until we reach help. If I'm wrong, well, you still have the medical supplies to try to save me." The crew discussed the plan for over an hour. Finally, they agreed to let Hosiak try eating a small amount of contaminated food while Dr. Quilthara monitored him closely. "Start with just a few bites," the doctor instructed. "If you feel any symptoms at all, stop immediately." Hosiak took a small portion of the contaminated rations and ate slowly. The food tasted normal to him, maybe slightly bitter, but nothing unusual. "How do you feel?" Dr. Quilthara asked after 15 minutes. "Fine," Hosiak replied honestly. "No nausea, no dizziness, no pain. After an hour, he still felt completely normal. After 2 hours, Dr. Quilthara's scans showed no signs of toxin poisoning." "Incredible," she said. Your liver is processing the toxin faster than it can build up in your system. So I can eat the contaminated food safely? Hoseok asked. In small amounts, yes. Your body is neutralizing the toxin naturally. Over the next few days, Hoseok continued eating the contaminated rations while the rest of the crew watched in amazement. He showed no signs of illness or discomfort. "This is impossible," Lieutenant Vexitar said during one meal period. "That food should have killed you by now." "Human biochemistry is just different," Hoseok explained. "We evolved eating all kinds of things that are toxic to other species." "Like what?" Captain Rilthek asked. "Well, chocolate is poisonous to many Earth animals. Caffeine is actually a natural pesticide that plants use to kill insects. Alcohol is literally a poison that our bodies have learned to process. Even things like garlic and onions are toxic to some species." Dr. Quilthara was taking notes constantly. "So humans regularly consume mild toxins." "All the time," Hoseok confirmed. "My grandmother used to cook with peppers so hot they would make you cry, but she said they were good for digestion." "Peppers that cause pain?" Engineer Korth's mechanical voice sounded confused. "Capsaicin. It's a chemical plants use to stop mammals from eating them. But humans actually like the burning sensation. We breed peppers to be more toxic on purpose." The crew looked at him in stunned silence. Finally, Captain Rilthek spoke. "Your species deliberately eats plant toxins for pleasure?" "Some humans do, yes. There are competitions to see who can eat the most toxic peppers." "Competitions?" Dr. Quilthara's voice cracked. "People try to eat peppers that are hundreds of times more concentrated than what we're dealing with here," Hoseok explained. "For fun." By the time they reached the next station, Hoseok had eaten contaminated food for 3 weeks without any problems. His liver had processed the toxin so efficiently that his blood levels never reached even mildly dangerous concentrations. "I need to completely update our toxicology databases," Dr. Quilthara said as they docked. "Human toxin resistance is far beyond anything we previously understood." "What kind of planet produces creatures with such powerful detoxification systems?" Captain Rilthek wondered. "A planet where everything is trying to poison you," Hoseok said with a laugh. "Earth has a lot of toxic plants and animals. Humans evolved to handle them." As they unloaded the ship, Dr. Quilthara made a note to contact the Galactic Medical Authority. If humans could process toxins that killed other species, this information could save lives throughout the galaxy. "One more question," she said to Hoseok. "Are there any toxins that are dangerous to humans?" Hoseok thought about it. "Oh yes, plenty, but apparently not this one." "How do you know which ones are safe?" "Experience mostly, and sometimes we guess wrong." He grinned. "That's why human food comes with warning labels." The frontier world of Kepler 438c had been a peaceful mining colony until the plague arrived. The disease spread quickly through the population, affecting every species in the settlement. Within days, the small medical facility was overwhelmed, with patients suffering from the mysterious illness. Yoon So-young had volunteered to help as soon as the distress call reached the nearby medical ship Aurora's Hope. As a human medic with experience in emergency response, she knew the outer colonies often lacked proper medical resources during crisis situations. The colony's medical facility was chaos when she arrived. Dr. Krilsek, the chief medical officer, was an insectoid being whose species had evolved on a cold world with very stable conditions. He was struggling to treat patients from dozens of different species, each with different physiologies and medical needs. "Thank you for coming," Dr. Krilsek said when So-young introduced herself. We have over 200 patients, and the disease is spreading faster than we can treat it. What do we know about the pathogen? So-young asked, checking the medical charts. It appears to be a viral infection that attacks the nervous system, the doctor explained. Patients develop high fevers, then neurological damage, then organ failure. We have no effective treatment. So-young looked around the medical bay. Patients from many different species were lying on beds, all showing similar symptoms. Their families stood nearby, looking helpless and scared. "What's the mortality rate?" she asked. "Nearly 100%, Dr. Krillsek said quietly. "We've lost 37 patients already. The few survivors have permanent brain damage. How long from infection to death? Usually 3 to 5 days. The fever kills most patients before the neurological damage becomes severe." So-young studied the medical data on her tablet. The fever temperatures were indeed extreme, reaching levels that would cause immediate death in most species. But something about the progression seemed familiar. "Doctor, what's the average body temperature for your species?" she asked. 32 degrees Celsius, Dr. Krillsek replied. "Most species in this colony maintain temperatures between 30 and 35 degrees. And the fever temperatures? 41 to 43 degrees. Fatal levels for any known species." So-young nodded thoughtfully. "I'd like to examine some of the patients, if that's okay." Dr. Krillsek led her to the intensive care unit where the sickest patients were being treated. The first patient was a young Aquatic Federation citizen whose blue skin had turned pale gray. His body temperature was 42 degrees, and he was unconscious. "How long has he been like this?" So-young asked. 18 hours. His fever broke briefly this morning, then returned even higher. We expect he won't survive the night." So-young examined several more patients. All showed the same pattern, extremely high fevers followed by neurological symptoms. It was devastating to the alien physiology, but to her human understanding, it looked like something else entirely. "Doctor," she said carefully, "I think this might be a disease that affects different species differently." "What do you mean?" "Human bodies respond to viral infections by raising their internal temperature. We call it fever, and it's actually part of our immune system fighting the disease." Dr. Krillsek's compound eyes focused on her. "You're saying fever is beneficial?" "For humans, yes. Our immune systems work better at higher temperatures, and many viruses can't survive the heat. But these temperatures would kill any organic being." "They would kill your species," So-young corrected gently. "But humans regularly survive fevers of 40 degrees or higher. Our bodies are designed to handle it. Designed to handle temperatures that would cook our internal organs? We evolved on a hot planet with variable climate," So-young explained. "Our bodies learned to use heat as a weapon against disease." Dr. Krillsek was quiet for a moment. "Are you suggesting that humans might survive this plague?" "I'm suggesting that humans might not even get seriously sick from it," So-young said. "If this virus uses fever as its primary attack method, it might not be effective against human physiology. But you could still be infected?" "Probably. But instead of the fever killing me, it would help my immune system kill the virus." Dr. Krillsek stared at her. "You want to deliberately expose yourself to a deadly plague to test this theory?" "I want to help," So-young said simply. "If I'm right, I can work directly with infected patients without getting sick. If I'm wrong," she shrugged. "At least we'll know." The discussion that followed was intense. Dr. Krillsek was horrified by the idea of deliberately exposing someone to the plague. But with patients dying every few hours and no effective treatment available, desperate measures seemed reasonable. "If you do this," Dr. Krillsek said finally, "we monitor you constantly. At the first sign of serious illness, we begin emergency treatment." "Agreed," So-Young said. The next morning, So-Young began working directly with infected patients without any protective equipment. She drew blood samples, administered medications, and provided comfort care to the sickest colonists. By evening, she was starting to feel slightly unwell. "I think I'm getting infected," she told Dr. Krillsek. "We should begin treatment immediately," the doctor said, reaching for his medical equipment. "Wait," So-Young said. "Let me see how this develops naturally. My immune system might handle it." Over the next 24 hours, So-Young's body temperature rose steadily. Dr. Krillsek watched in terror as her fever climbed to levels that should have killed her. 41 degrees, he announced. "This is fatal temperature." "I feel okay," So-Young said honestly. "Tired and achy, but not terrible. This is what human flu feels like." "Human flu causes fatal fevers?" "Human flu causes fevers that would be fatal to you," So-Young corrected. "For us, it's just unpleasant." Her temperature peaked at 42.5 degrees, a level that had killed several alien patients. But instead of becoming unconscious or developing neurological symptoms, So-Young just felt like she had a bad cold. "Fascinating," Dr. Krillsek said, monitoring her vital signs. "Your brain function is completely normal despite the extreme temperature. Human brains are designed to work at these temperatures," So-Young explained. "When we get sick, our bodies raise the heat to kill the infection." After 3 days, So-Young's fever broke and she felt completely recovered. Blood tests showed that her immune system had completely eliminated the virus. "Incredible," Dr. Krillsek said, reviewing the results. "Your body used the disease's own weapon against it." "That's evolution for you," So-Young said. "Humans have been fighting diseases for millions of years. We've gotten pretty good at it." "But how? What makes human physiology so resistant to temperature?" "Damage? Heat shock proteins, efficient cooling systems, redundant neural pathways," So-Young listed. "Humans can survive internal temperatures that would denature the proteins in most species. You're essentially living furnaces?" "When we need to be, yes." Over the following weeks, So-Young worked with the medical team to develop new treatment protocols. Instead of trying to reduce fever in alien patients, they focused on supporting their other organ systems while the fever did its work. The survival rate improved dramatically. Patients who would have died from fever-induced organ failure were now surviving long enough for their own immune systems to fight the disease. "Your understanding of fever as an immune response has saved hundreds of lives," Dr. Krillsek said, as the crisis finally ended. "I'm glad I could help," So-Young replied. "But this makes me wonder, what other human traits might be useful in medical situations?" "I'm afraid to ask," Dr. Krillsek said, with what might have been humor. "Every time we learn something new about human physiology, it challenges everything we thought we knew about biology." "Humans are full of surprises," So-Young agreed. "We evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill us. We had to get creative to survive. A world so hostile that its inhabitants evolved to use lethal temperatures as medical treatment," Dr. Krillsek mused. "What other impossible adaptations do humans possess?" "Probably more than either of us realizes," So-Young said with a smile. "But that's what makes working together so interesting." As they finished their medical reports, Dr. Krillsek made a note to recommend So Young for a commendation. Her willingness to risk her life had not only saved the colony, but had revolutionized their understanding of fever and immune response. "One last question," he said. "Do all humans have this fever resistance?" "Pretty much," So Young confirmed. "Some handle it better than others, but high fevers are just part of being human." Remarkable. Your species treats as normal what we consider supernatural healing abilities. So Young laughed. "When you put it that way, I guess we are pretty tough." The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Medical Conference had never held such an important meeting. Representatives from over 400 different species had gathered to hear the official presentation about human physiology. After months of individual discoveries and reports, it was time to address the growing concerns about humanity's place in galactic civilization. Dr. An Ye-jin stood at the center of the massive amphitheater, looking out at thousands of alien medical professionals, scientists, and government officials. As Earth's chief xenobiologist and the leading expert on human physiology, she had been chosen to give this presentation. The weight of humanity's future relationships with other species rested on how well she could explain what everyone was calling the human problem. "Honored colleagues," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall's translation systems, "I am here today to address your concerns about human physiology and to propose a new understanding of how humans can contribute to our galactic community." A murmur went through the audience. Dr. Ye-jin could see representatives from dozens of species she had only read about in textbooks. Some looked worried, others curious, and a few seemed genuinely frightened. Over the past year, you have received reports about various aspects of human biology that seem unusual or even impossible by galactic standards. I want to address these concerns directly and honestly. She activated the main display, showing a summary of all the incidents that had led to this meeting. First, let me acknowledge that the reports you have received are accurate. Humans do have heart rates that would indicate death in most species. We do consume substances that are toxic to many life forms. We can heal from injuries that would be fatal to others. We can survive internal temperatures that would cook most organic beings. And yes, we can adapt to environments that other species consider uninhabitable. The hall was completely silent. Dr. Ye-jin could feel the tension in the room. "I understand why these capabilities might seem frightening," she continued. "When your medical equipment declares a healthy human to be dying, when you watch humans consume what you consider deadly poison, when you see us heal from what should be fatal wounds, I understand why you might wonder what kind of creatures we are." Ambassador Krell-Toth from the Hegemony Council stood up. "Dr. Ye-jin, the question many of us have is simple. Are humans dangerous to other species?" "That's a fair question," Dr. Ye-jin replied. "Let me answer it this way. Are doctors dangerous because they can cut into bodies? Are engineers dangerous because they can build machines that move mountains? Are pilots dangerous because they can control vehicles that travel faster than sound? Those are learned skills," Ambassador Krell-Toth pointed out. "Human physiological capabilities are inherent." "You're absolutely right," Dr. Ye-jin agreed. "Human physical abilities are inherent, but so is our behavior. Let me show you something." She changed the display to show statistical data from the past year of human-alien interactions. In the 12 months since humans joined the Galactic Federation, we have had over 10,000 documented interactions between humans and other species. How many of these interactions resulted in humans harming other beings? The data showed clearly zero incidents of humans using their physiological advantages to harm others. But that doesn't account for potential, said Dr. Vexithera from the Medical Council. Your species has capabilities that could be weaponized. Every species has capabilities that could be weaponized, Dr. Ye-Jin replied. The Centaurians have 6 arms and incredible strength. The Aquatic Federation members can survive in environments that would kill most other species. The crystalline hegemony can generate electromagnetic fields that disrupt technology. Should we fear each other because of what we could potentially do? She paused to let that sink in, then continued. Or should we appreciate each other for what we actually do? Dr. Ye-Jin changed the display again, this time showing specific examples of human contributions over the past year. Human endurance capabilities have been used for long-duration rescue missions on 3 different worlds. Human toxin resistance has allowed us to work in contaminated environments that were too dangerous for other species. Human healing abilities have made us ideal for high-risk exploration missions. Human temperature tolerance has enabled us to provide medical care during disease outbreaks that would have killed other medical personnel. The audience was listening more carefully now. Dr. Ye-Jin could see that some of the fear was being replaced by curiosity. Human environmental adaptability has allowed us to establish research. The Galactic Research Institute had been studying evolution and adaptation for over 300 years. Their massive database contained information about millions of species from across the galaxy, but nothing had prepared them for what they discovered when they began studying human evolution. Huang Taijun had arrived at the Institute 6 months ago as part of the new Human Galactic Exchange Program. As Earth's leading anthropologist, his job was to help alien scientists understand human development and culture. What he found was a research team that was completely fascinated and slightly terrified by human evolutionary history. The more we learn about your species, said Dr. Velnoth, the Institute's chief evolutionary biologist, the more questions we have. Your planet appears to be uniquely hostile to life. Tae-jun was sitting in the Institute's main conference room, surrounded by scientists from dozens of different worlds. For the past several weeks, they had been asking him increasingly worried questions about Earth and human evolution. I wouldn't say Earth is uniquely hostile, Tae-jun replied diplomatically. It's just challenging. Challenging? Dr. Zenara, a crystalline being, flashed red with disbelief. Your planet has weather systems that can destroy cities. How is that merely challenging? Tae-jun thought about how to explain. Well, hurricanes and tornadoes are dangerous, but most of the time they're predictable. Humans learn to build stronger structures and develop warning systems. But why didn't your species evolve on a more stable world? Asked Dr. Thesol, whose own planet had perfectly controlled climate systems. Earth is the only world we had, Tae-jun said with a shrug. We had to adapt to the conditions we found. Dr. Velnoth activated the main display screen, showing a comparison chart. We've been analyzing planetary classification data. Most species evolve on Class 3 or Class 4 worlds. Stable climate, predictable weather, moderate geological activity. What class is Earth? Tae-jun asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. Class 12, Dr. Velnoth said quietly. We classify it as a death world. Death world? Tae-jun repeated. Extreme weather, active geology, dangerous wildlife, atmospheric instability, frequent natural disasters, Dr. Zenara listed. Most species would consider your planet uninhabitable. But humans evolved there, Tae-jun pointed out, so it's obviously habitable for us. That's what we don't understand, Dr. Teisel said. How did any complex life forms survive long enough to evolve intelligence on such a hostile world? Tae-jun looked at the planetary data on the screen. When described in purely scientific terms, Earth did sound pretty dangerous. I guess we just adapted to each challenge as it came up. Adapted. How? Dr. Velnoth asked. Show us the evolutionary timeline. Tae-jun connected his tablet to the display system and brought up Earth's evolutionary history. Okay. Early life forms had to deal with an atmosphere that was mostly carbon dioxide and very little oxygen. Toxic atmosphere, Dr. Zenara noted. Right. So life forms evolved to produce oxygen as a waste product. Eventually, there was enough oxygen for more complex organisms. Then what happened? Well, there were several mass extinction events. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, ice ages. Each time, most species died, but some survived and evolved to fill the empty niches. The alien scientists looked at each other with concern. Dr. Teisel spoke first. Your planet experienced multiple extinction-level events? At least 5 major ones that we know of, Tae-jun confirmed. The dinosaurs were wiped out by an asteroid impact about 65 million years ago. And life survived these catastrophes? Life always found a way. Species that could adapt to new conditions survived and evolved. Species that couldn't adapt went extinct. Dr. Velnoth was taking notes rapidly. So Earth's evolutionary pressure was constant survival stress? You could say that. Plus, Earth has very diverse environments. Hot deserts, frozen polar regions, deep oceans, high mountains. Species had to be very adaptable to spread across the planet. Most worlds have much more uniform conditions, Dr. Zenara explained. Stable temperature, consistent weather patterns, predictable seasons. Earth's seasons change dramatically, Tae-jun said. In some places, the temperature difference between summer and winter can be over 50 degrees Celsius. 50 degrees variation? Dr. Theisol's skin changed to a shocked purple color. How do organisms survive such extreme fluctuations? They migrate, hibernate, store food, grow thicker fur, change their behavior, Tae-jun listed. Life on Earth is very good at adapting to change. And humans specifically? Dr. Velnoth asked. How did your species develop such broad adaptability? Tae-jun brought up a map showing human migration patterns. Early humans spread out from Africa to every continent except Antarctica. They learned to live in tropical rainforests, Arctic, tundra, high mountains, coastal areas, deserts, basically everywhere. Without technological assistance? Dr. Zenara asked. Early humans had very basic technology. Mostly they adapted behaviorally and physiologically. Different populations develop different traits depending on their environment. Give us examples, Dr. Velnoth requested. Well, humans who lived in high altitudes developed more efficient lungs and blood chemistry to handle low oxygen. Humans in sunny climates developed darker skin to protect against radiation. Humans in cold climates developed body shapes that conserved heat better. Your species differentiated into multiple subspecies? Dr. Teisel asked. Not exactly subspecies, more like local adaptations, but all humans can still interbreed and share the same basic physiology. Dr. Velnoth looked puzzled. How is that possible? Most species that adapt to such different environments become separate species entirely. Human genetic diversity is actually pretty low compared to most species, Tae-jun explained. We're all closely related, but we're very plastic. We can adapt to new environments within a generation or two. Plastic? Dr. Zanara's crystal body flickered with confusion. Flexible, adaptable. If you take a human from a tropical environment and move them to the Arctic, their body will start adapting within weeks. More body fat, better circulation, behavioral changes. Immediate adaptation without evolutionary change? Dr. Velnoth was writing frantically. That's impossible. It's just human physiology, Taejun said. We're designed to handle change. But why? Dr. Teasel asked. What evolutionary pressure created such adaptability? Taejun thought about it. Probably because Earth's environment was always changing. Ice ages, climate shifts, natural disasters. Humans who could adapt quickly to new conditions were more likely to survive and have children. So you evolved to handle constant environmental stress? Basically, yes. Humans are really good at surviving in situations that would kill most other species. Dr. Velnoth brought up a new display showing human settlement patterns throughout the galaxy. This explains your current expansion rate. Humans have successfully colonized worlds that other species consider uninhabitable. Like what? Taejun asked. High radiation worlds, extreme temperature planets, worlds with unstable weather systems, Dr. Zanara listed. Species that evolved on stable worlds can't survive on such planets without extensive technological support. But humans just adapt? Dr. Thysol asked. Usually, yes. We might need some basic equipment, but humans can live almost anywhere if we have to. The research team was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Dr. Velnoth spoke. We need to completely revise our understanding of evolutionary biology. Why? Taejun asked. Because you've shown us that extreme environmental pressure can create species with unprecedented adaptability, Dr. Velnoth explained. Most evolutionary theory assumes stable conditions with gradual change. Earth was never stable, Taejun said. Change was the only constant. And that created humans, Dr. Zanara said slowly. Beings who can survive anywhere, adapt to anything, and thrive in conditions that would destroy most other life forms. When you put it that way, it sounds pretty impressive, Taejun admitted. Impressive and terrifying, Dr. Thysel said. What else might be possible on deathworlds like Earth? I don't know, Taejun said honestly, but I'm curious to find out. Dr. Velnoth made a final note in his research log. Recommend immediate study of other Class 12 worlds. If Earth can produce humans, what other adaptable species might exist on similar planets? And more importantly, Dr. Zanara added, how do we prepare for contact with them? Taejun smiled. The same way you prepared for contact with humans. Keep an open mind and expect the impossible. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Medical Conference had never held such an important meeting. Representatives from over 400 different species had gathered to hear the official presentation about human physiology. After months of individual discoveries and reports, it was time to address the growing concerns about humanity's place in galactic civilization. Dr. An Ye-jin stood at the center of the massive amphitheater, looking out at thousands of alien medical professionals, scientists, and government officials. As Earth's chief xenobiologist and the leading expert on human physiology, she had been chosen to give this presentation. The weight of humanity's future relationships with other species rested on how well she could explain what everyone was calling the human problem. Honored colleagues, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall's translation systems. I am here today to address your concerns about human physiology and to propose a new understanding of how humans can contribute to our galactic community. A murmur went through the audience. Dr. Yejin could see representatives from dozens of species she had only read about in textbooks. Some looked worried, others curious, and a few seemed genuinely frightened. Over the past year, you have received reports about various aspects of human biology that seem unusual or even impossible by galactic standards. I want to address these concerns directly and honestly. She activated the main display showing a summary of all the incidents that had led to this meeting. First, let me acknowledge that the reports you have received are accurate. Humans do have heart rates that would indicate death in most species. We do consume substances that are toxic to many life forms. We can heal from injuries that would be fatal to others. We can survive internal temperatures that would cook most organic beings. And yes, we can adapt to environments that other species consider uninhabitable. The hall was completely silent. Dr. Yejin could feel the tension in the room. I understand why these capabilities might seem frightening, she continued. When your medical equipment declares a healthy human to be dying, when you watch humans consume what you consider deadly poison, when you see us heal from what should be fatal wounds, I understand why you might wonder what kind of creatures we are. Ambassador Kreltoth from the Hegemony Council stood up. Dr. Yejin, the question many of us have is simple. Are humans dangerous to other species? That's a fair question, Dr. Yejin replied. Let me answer it this way. Are doctors dangerous because they can cut into bodies? Are engineers dangerous because they can build machines that move mountains? Are pilots dangerous because they can control vehicles that travel faster than sound? Those are learned skills, Ambassador Kreltoth pointed out. Human physiological capabilities are inherent. You're absolutely right, Dr. Yejin agreed. Human physical abilities are inherent, but so is our behavior. Let me show you something. She changed the display to show statistical data from the past year of human-alien interactions. In the 12 months since humans joined the Galactic Federation, we have had over 10,000 documented interactions between humans and other species. How many of these interactions resulted in humans harming other beings? The data showed, clearly, 0 incidents of humans using their physiological advantages to harm others. But that doesn't account for potential, said Dr. Vexthera from the Medical Council. Your species has capabilities that could be weaponized. Every species has capabilities that could be weaponized, Dr. Yejin replied. The Centaurians have 6 arms and incredible strength. The Aquatic Federation members can survive in environments that would kill most other species. The crystalline hegemony can generate electromagnetic fields that disrupt technology. Should we fear each other because of what we could potentially do? She paused to let that sink in, then continued. Or should we appreciate each other for what we actually do? Dr. Yejin changed the display again, this time showing specific examples of human contributions over the past year. Human endurance capabilities have been used for long-duration rescue missions on 3 different worlds. Human toxin resistance has allowed us to work in contaminated environments that were too dangerous for other species. Human healing abilities have made us ideal for high-risk exploration missions. Human temperature tolerance has enabled us to provide medical care during disease outbreaks that would have killed other medical personnel. The audience was listening more carefully now. Dr. Yejin could see that some of the fear was being replaced by curiosity. Human environmental adaptability has allowed us to establish research